Welcome to Must See Movies, a podcast featuring reviews of both old and new movies for your consideration. Now let's get on with the show.
Well, hello and welcome to Must See Movies, the podcast, and we are at a movie theater actually right
Live
now.
in color.
Live at our favorite little movie destination, Ronnie's. Yes. And by the way, this is
Derek Leftridge.
And I'm Lawrence Trokey. We thank you for joining us this time. We're just going to talk a little bit about our experience. We saw a movie together tonight, and that's going to be our new movie.
Yes.
For this episode.
Yeah. And hopefully it's something that we'll do more often, not all the time, but more often going in the future with movies, because we enjoy seeing them together, and it's cool to just kind of throw something together right after. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You're doing good. You're doing so well.
Thanks, man.
Anyway, so we just saw the movie Normal, starring Bob Odenkirk, and we'll have some more of the details about directors and other stars and that kind of thing coming up here in a little bit when we throw it back to our studio.
Yes.
Where we'll be continuing our reviews. But we just wanted to chat a little bit after just seeing it. I mean, we're literally just walking out of the theater. Yes. And we're going to just talk a little bit about what we thought, what our impressions were. So why don't you get started with your ideas, Derek, and tell me what you think.
I think of our podcast, and I think of the must-see movies, and I get confused sometimes because I'm like, is it something that I need? We've discussed that you and I have.
Yeah.
But maybe you've said about with the podcast too, but I mean, is it something that it's like you have to see this no matter what? Well, I don't think anything is no matter what, but as far as the way this story was told, what we came into thinking, I would say in my mind, what I came into thinking this movie was about was 55% of what it was.
Okay.
And the other 45% or whatever like that was completely different.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked, that other 45 or 40%.
It surprised you.
It did. Yeah. And I mean, it's still in the vein of what I thought it would be, but it's different. A must-see movie. I think this is a must-see movie. Not sure if it's going to be on a list of something that I would do, because it's very close to other ones. Like when we're in the theater, I said to you, it reminds me of Fargo. It reminds me of, I forgot the other one I said too, but it reminds me of other movies that are similar to it. But the thing is, it's really a good story. It's a story we've all heard. It's a story we've all seen. But it doesn't matter because everything's been done.
Sure. My
thing is that it was a really good story, really good acting. And my biggest thing I do feel is there were so many characters. And I'm sorry to do spoilers, but there were so many characters that the characters ended their lives, and I didn't want them to end their lives.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't just one; it was a ton of them.
Yeah,
because
they were so
their
fun
characters were just really in depth and really good for me early on. And and by the way, on the second part of that, it's very funny.
There's
very funny, very subtle.
Yeah.
Which we can get into another time, but all I got to say is leather jacket. But you go ahead, Lawrence.
Well, so, my first impression of this was kind of the same way as you, is that I was expecting one thing and kind of got surprised. Yeah, I was not expecting the movie to go in this direction. It had a pretty unique way of solving a particular problem that you thought was just going to end in another shootout, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but to just kind of go back to some of the things you were saying about characters, it was big cast, a lot of people in this, a lot of people that you meet in this place called Normal. It's about Normal. Is it Minnesota?
Minnesota, correct? Yeah,
Normal, Minnesota. Is the
I think
town.
The snow might have been fake, but hey, we'll give them a chance.
The snow looked fake.
Yeah, it did look fake. Looked too fluffy.
Yeah, anyway. It was not quite up to snuff. But if you could get past that, and accept that they were in the middle of a snowstorm, blizzard, whatever, you could accept the rest of it pretty easy. So big cast, lots of people in it, And one of the things, which my old movie that I'll talk about in this episode is one that I had to think about a little bit, and there's actually Jeremy Jans is a movie reviewer on YouTube. He actually did a review of this movie about a week ago, and I watched that just to kind of prep me for what I was going to see.
I'm sorry, but
here
what
tonight.
is the movie? Your old movie?
Oh, the old movie? I haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I thought you told me already.
No.
Like off air or whatever.
But I was going to give credit to Jeremy Jans.
Okay.
Because he's the one that. Well, and I had kind of that idea when he explained a little bit of the premise. I mean, he didn't reveal hardly anything because I was completely surprised by the storyline and then where it went in this movie. He was very good about giving you enough information to help you make a decision, but not spoiling it for you.
So you saw a review of this movie, Normal, and it made you decide what your old movie would be.
Yes, and it was based on something that he said, but on what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
His comments about what was taking place in the movie led me to a conclusion that he brought up at the same time in the review. So that movie is Hot Fuzz. Familiar with Hot Fuzz? Yeah. Yes. So, and I don't know in hindsight if you think about Hot Fuzz and what we just saw.
I can see the relationship.
Yeah. So if that's any indication as to where this movie's going, folks that have seen Hot Fuzz will have a take on it. But see, Hot Fuzz was intentionally done as a comedy, right? And there were a lot of over-the-top things that happened in here, whereas in this movie, there are over-the-top things that happen, but not intentionally made to be funny, but they are funny.
Right.
Because they're so over-the-top. Yeah. You know, like the thing that triggers one of the fight scenes at the end of the movie, which I won't spoil or say anything about. I mean, completely off the wall, ridiculous. Yeah. In how that breaks down. Yeah.
There was a few of those in this movie, and I really like it.
Yeah. And you know, the moose. Yeah. What's with the moose?
I know.
I know. So, but my initial thought was the first act of this thing was like, okay, it's kind of slow. And I know we're setting things up and we're getting introduced to folks and things like that. But I just was wondering, how are they going to pull anything out of this? It just seems so normal. Right. And then it starts with the bank robbery. And the stuff that happens there kind of is an off the wall type of thing. And I know you had walked out at that point because you had to take care of something, but so you missed a little bit of that. But
I had to urinate.
Well, we didn't really need to go into any kind of detail.
Sorry about that.
But we'll fill you in on what happened. But he's introduced to two new characters who end up being integral to him for most of the movie, but then they're not in the third act. Right. They depart by the time the third act goes around. So I don't know if I'd call this a must-see movie. I'd say initially my thought was definitely not a must-see movie. It's just a regular shoot 'em up, I guess watching another Bruce Willis movie. And even in the movie, there was a couple of times where Odenkirk kind of takes on a Bruce Willis-y attitude. Yep. But despite that, when the plot twists started getting thrown in there, that's when I got interested. Yeah. That's when I perked up like, oh, wait a minute, where are they going with this? Right. Wait a minute, how is he going to pull that off? Yeah. Those kind of things really got me interested in it. And I think it is going to probably end up as a must-see movie on my list only because of the plot twists. Yeah. The rest of it, the shooting, the shootouts, and the violence.
It was all guy movie stuff.
It was all.
What else you guys want to see?
If you see Die Hard, you saw it all, right? Yeah. I mean, but the way they handled it, there were some funny, unique things in that as well. But so did Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz did that too, where there was some funny things about the violence in that. So ultimately, I think this is going to be a must-see movie just because of the plot twist. All that for me.
I agree with that too, and I think I was sold in the first act. At some point in the first act, just because I was either giving faith to the story or to the actors or whatever it is. And I'm not saying you didn't, but I'm just saying that it just was something that appealed to me, and I was able to feel that it was going to be something that it was going to pay off for me. And if it didn't, I was entertained enough to where it didn't really matter at that point. But I did like the entire movie. It was good, and like I said to you during the movie, apparently I talked to him a lot during the movies.
Not nearly as much as the people on my other side.
Oh yeah, they were talking a lot.
Oh my God, the lady next to me was by herself.
Everything.
And she talked as much as you did.
I know. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I know. I said to Lawrence, I said, 10 years ago, my bingo card did not have Bob Odenkirk being as much of an action hero as Jason Statham.
Yeah, right.
But he is, and he does it in a great way. He doesn't look. I do not like these older guys coming back and being their superhero selves when they were 30s and when they were superheroes in their 30s.
Stallone has been a little guilty of that.
Yeah,
in some points in his career.
Arnold kind of.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But it's like he already was not really that. Odenkirk was already that, to the point he wasn't a superhero type of body, but he did still do really well with his acting, and it was really good. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
It was good.
So we'll kind of leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
We'll throw it back to the studio, where we'll pick up the conversation and get into some more of the finer points about this movie, and then the old movies that we picked, and the rest of that. So we'll catch you in a few minutes. Okay, so now we're back in the studio, and Derek and I, it's a couple days later since we saw the movie Normal together, so we're going to run down some information about that movie, as we normally do when we talk about movies here. Normal is directed by Ben Wheatley, who is not known for much stuff. Maybe English entertainment and options on the English side of things seems to be what he is best known for, but really nothing that is well circulated here in America. So the movie stars Bob Odenkirk, who you probably know from the Nobody movies, if you saw any of those, where he's also kind of an action star, right?
Yeah.
And then Better Call Saul, pretty popular TV show, and of course Breaking Bad, where the Saul character actually originated. We also have one of our favorites, Henry Winkler.
Oh yes,
in the movie, who does a nice job.
Yes, for as long as he's in it. Yes,
goes out with a bang, and
literally.
Yes, you know him from if you're as old as we are, you know him from the TV series Happy Days as the Fonz. But you also have seen him in The Waterboy in 1998, the Adam Sandler comedy, and then Night Shift, if you remember that one, 1982, which probably goes back almost as far as the Happy Days thing, where he and Michael Keaton are paired up in a comedy together. So the synopsis of this movie, and Derek, jump in as I'm saying this, if anything strikes you want to add stuff to it. But basically, Sheriff Ulysses, who is Bob Odenkirk's character, is a substitute sheriff for hire. And I got to be honest with you, I did some research on this. I couldn't really find much information about, does this thing actually exist? Is this a real job? Because I thought it was really weird.
It seems like it was his profession, because I think he mentioned some other places he was and possibly going to another one. And so it was just kind of the run-of-the-mill type of thing, but maybe for those small towns it is. But yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. When I looked up the term substitute sheriff, it was more a role that was held by a judge than an actual law officer. So that was kind of weird. But he's hired to step in for a recently deceased sheriff of a little town in Minnesota called Normal, which is a fictional town. And he's keeping things going there until an election that's supposed to take place. I got the sense that the position that he was filling was only for a couple of weeks until this election happened. And I'm going to
right.
circle back to that point in a little bit because I have a question about that, which basically destroys the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll continue for now. So he's there until this election, and the most likely candidate who's going to win the sheriff's election is Deputy Blaine Anderson, who's played by Ryan Allen. And Ulysses, we find out, is suffering from basically PTSD. You know, he's
Right.
had trauma, and it's still affecting him. He's having nightmares about it, that kind of stuff. And we find out more about what that trauma actually is and the truth about that trauma as the movie goes on.
Yes.
And then this happened, this incident that caused him this trauma happened when he was a actual real sheriff, right?
Right. And he took this this temporary thing to get away from, I guess, stress and all that type of stuff of being an actual sheriff. And boy, that was a bad decision. But then again, you can tell that he went through something that he's now influenced differently, and then the fun begins.
Right. And the other part of it is that, you know, this traumatic event also pretty much destroyed his marriage. It sounds like. I don't know if they were actually divorced, but it sounded like, you know, it was basically over, and he would reach out to his ex through calling her and leaving her voicemails because she never answered her phone.
Right.
And he would do like a little diary kind of entry every time he called her to tell her what's going on with himself and his life. Anyway, he takes on this temporary type of position, moving from place to place, so he never really has to put down roots, and maybe tries to find a way to escape the trauma that keeps following him. And during the course of his time here in Normal, he meets the daughter of the recently deceased sheriff, who is troubled by the manner in which her father died. And also, there's something else that she's troubled by. We don't really know at the beginning of the movie what that is. We find out about it later. But you can tell that she's upset because he meets up with her when she's in a parked car on the side of the road, drinking bourbon, cheap bourbon, and has a pistol.
Yeah.
Like she's getting ready to go do something.
There's a lot of dark humor in this.
Yes. So he short circuits or maybe diffuses that situation that she's about to head into with her, and helps her out by taking her back to the sheriff's office and giving her a place to sleep in one of the cells. Right. But he also actually locks her in. So I guess it's kind of like he's also having to charge her with something because she has a handgun and I don't know what else. But anyway, so in the meantime, Ulysses is settling in and starting to get to know some of the townsfolk. Although you can tell in the movie, he's still asking questions and trying to figure stuff out. Like in the restaurant where they have all the weapons on the wall. And he asks the restaurant owner, "Are these weapons loaded?" He goes, "Well, they wouldn't be much fun if they weren't."
Correct.
And that will play an integral part in the movie later on, which I also have to talk about because I have a big problem with that. But anyway, he's settling in, and then he meets the mayor, Kibner, who is Henry Winkler's character. And Winkler suggests to him that maybe he should stay in Normal because he has a good vibe about Ulysses and thinks that he would fit in to what they're doing there. And what we don't know is what they're doing and what's really going on. So something about this town, the mayor thinks that Ulysses would be able to go along with what's going on.
Yep.
And that everyone else in the town is involved in this thing as well. And when we start to find out what's going on is when an attempted bank robbery happens, and it just is botched and totally wrong. And Ulysses, as the sheriff, of course, responds to the robbery and goes there with his deputies. And upon entering the bank and kind of checking some things out, all of a sudden, now he is one of the targets being shot at by his own people.
Yeah, at that point, we start to find out what this town is about and these people. Yeah. And how he's pretty much alone.
Yeah, for sure. Except for the bank robbers who he has to partner up with
Yeah.
just so they have a fighting chance of trying to get out of this town.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason for this betrayal, and I was a little fuzzy on this. When they started shooting at him, I didn't quite understand why. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I know that the bank robbers kind of knew what was going on because they had discovered what was in the vault, but I didn't get that he was in on this thing right away, and they just start shooting at him.
I think there was a little bit of bumbling cop stuff at the beginning of that thing too.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah,
a little, because they were playing off. Yeah, they were playing off as and coming around obviously as not very smart.
Yeah, right.
But then that was also leading to the comedy parts of it too.
Right. Well, we got to keep that in mind about what you just said about this being a comedy. I'm going to talk about that too. So, anywho, we get into this, and so they start shooting at Ulysses. He has to partner up with these bank robbers to try to figure out what's going on and how to get out of there. And the thing that he discovers is that in the bank vault, there's a tremendous amount of gold and money and that kind of stuff. And of course, there's also tons of weapons in there as well, which we also see earlier in the film when he goes into the police squad or the police office's armory. They've got a ton of weapons
for a small town. Yeah.
Really high end, military style stuff, which he was a little surprised by. So anyway, the whole town's in on something here. It has to do with the bank, has to do with what's in the bank. And let's take a minute to listen to a movie clip.
Why are you here?
I used to be a regular sheriff. I walked through life with my head held high. I kind of stopped trusting my instincts.
Death comes for us all, don't it, lawman?
You've been listening to my internal monologue, haven't you? I took a sheriff job in a little town called Normal, Minnesota.
Weather advisory, winter storm threatening later this week.
Reports 2 assholes screaming at each other.
All right, separate! People seem friendly enough. Whoa, 16.8 million. Where the hell did this town get that kind of money?
Community really came together on that one.
Yeah, I would say. Is that a police scanner you got? You keeping tabs on me?
Yes, sir.
This is a hell of an armory.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, it's my one trick.
What do you think of our little town?
It's, charming.
Oh, shit.
Keep your hands where I can see them! If you don't play this right, we're gonna have a massacre in there. I say we play the hand that's been dealt to all of us. And maybe you get to keep the rest of your goddamn fingers.
You could build a whole new life here in Normal. We really celebrate the community.
What is wrong with you people? Nothing to see here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Derek, give me what your impressions are of Normal.
I thought it was a dark comedy in the sense of that it was a good story. It was and to me a comedy, a kind of a funny little run through things with a lot of the grittiness and the fighting of, like what I'll go into a little bit later, one man army type of movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that's basically what we were doing. You know, we're going through that routine again of that type of movie, and that's what Bob Odenkirk did, and he pulled the character from nobody, and was pretty much a badass in this one, and continued that kind of character, which, like, I think at some point I said to you, and may have said this already, I didn't think he was going to be the next action hero, but apparently he is.
He's on that path, right?
Yeah, and I thought the story was, I wasn't going into it thinking it was an Oscar winner, but I went into it thinking of what it was and the simplicity of it, and so maybe I didn't have the highest expectations as you did in the sense of it to be delivering, but I did think that it was a fun movie, a lot of action and comedy.
Yeah, for sure. And my take on it is that I had a good time watching this film too. but I do recognize there are some problems here. And you say, if I look at it as a comedy, it makes sense on some of the over the topness of what happens in this film. But what they say this thing is that it's billed as an action crime thriller. Doesn't mention in any of the descriptions I've seen for this movie that it's a comedy.
Right. And then I saw something that said called it a Western, a type of a new type of Western kind of thing. I can see where they're getting that idea, but I still see that character, Bob Odenkirk, as a comedian, and that's where I get comedy from it, because even the whole thing of I thought it was sweet / funny whenever he's like you said, calling his wife, leaving our ex-wife or whatever, and then eventually, spoiler, she answers. Or something to that effect. I thought that was funny in the sense of that, but maybe my comedy is a little different. However, what they explained it as, I wouldn't call it a thriller at all.
But that's their own description of the movie. That's what their take on it is, or how they're pitching
confusing.
Yeah, it doesn't, because again, some of the over the topness of what happens in this movie is funny, no question. I mean, we were chuckling and stuff, right? But I don't know if they intended it to be that.
And what their intent was and what actually happened are, I guess, two different things in a sense. And I can see that being awkward in figuring it out.
For sure. So as I was going through this, some of the things I said we'd circle back to. For one, the whole concept of this whole town being in lockstep in this situation that they're in, and who they're connected to that brings this situation to them, I thought was a bit of a stretch. So I'm not trying to give any spoilers here, but that's fine. That you said the thing about the wife, no big deal.
I'm good.
But who they're connected to and why they're in the situation that the whole town agrees to be a part of this just seems a bit far fetched. And then you've got, and this is something that right off the bat, when we talk about him being a substitute sheriff, I mean, maybe they didn't think that it was going to matter that much. But if you were in cahoots with the people they're in cahoots with, doing the thing that they're doing, why would you hire somebody outside of your town to come in to a sensitive position as the sheriff, even for a week? Why not just say, okay, well, we have an election coming up, and in the meantime, this guy who's most likely going to be sheriff, he's just the interim sheriff. And then again, so if you'd have done that, there's no movie.
Right.
It just kills the whole thing. So that's another problem that I had with this after reflecting on it. Right. So, I think Bob Odenkirk, he does a good job of selling this movie. He does a good job of doing what he does. And I enjoy watching him in his performance. And he makes everything seem somewhat plausible just in how he handles himself. But when you start to drift away from him, it really starts to get that screwball comedy feel in my mind. There is one part, though, I even mentioned it to you when we were talking about it in our initial reaction, that I thought he sounded like a Bruce Willis-y kind of character. He said, I can't remember what the line was, but he said something about, we're going to take care of this, or I'm going to take care of it, I have to do something. And it just seemed a little over the top, like it was forced.
They did some over the top. You're right.
Yeah. And then the way the film decides to try to resolve the problem with Sheriff Ulysses and the aftermath of that is a big time stretch for me too. Like I said, the thing that he comes up with, the plan that he comes up with, it almost seems like something out of a 70s sitcom where the kids are trying to pull something over on their parents. You know what I mean? And then for it to go horribly wrong the way it does, it's just, okay, really? This is just a cause for having a lot of action sequences. And it was doing that to itself. And I think from part one, the very beginning, the epilogue, if you will, I knew it was going to be that type of thing in my mind. It was going to be way more than a serious, completely
make sense movie and just kind of accept it for the way it was. I mean, again, something we don't want to spoil necessarily, but one of the funniest comedy things was the one guy wearing a leather jacket.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome, and I'll leave it at that. But that's
yeah,
just through the most of the movie, and it just was hilarious. I laughed out loud at that one part. But anyway,
yeah, there were several times where that thing about the jacket came into play.
Yeah.
And even the last time we see anything or hear anything about it, it's hilarious.
It is.
But again, that's not a crime. What is it? Action crime thriller. That's a comedy.
No, that's almost on the line of Airplane, and I think that's probably maybe the mindset that I kind of went into it. Looking at Bob Odenkirk, maybe you went into it thinking differently, but I saw Bob Odenkirk and probably Henry Winkler. I don't see much of them in anything serious, so I took it as it was going to be a silly kind of comedy thing. And then there's other things sprinkled in there that is not continuing the storyline. However, I just accepted it. But as far as a must see, I'm gonna say probably not, in my opinion. But I mean, if you want to watch a new movie, a funny movie, one that's not a rom-com or anything like that, more of a shoot 'em up funny movie, I think that's a great pick.
Well, and I think the thing of it is that when I watched the trailer for this thing, and my expectations going in was, hey, this is a comedy. Because just from what I saw in the trailer, there were things in it that made me laugh. Not nearly the same amount of stuff that I saw in the actual movie. There were just things that made me laugh, and I was like, "Oh, okay, wow, this stuff's so over the top. This has got to be a comedy."
Right.
And then for them to bill it as something other than a comedy, so that's why I have problems with this thing. And I think it's a good movie to go see. But if you're going to go see it thinking that you're going to see the next Die Hard,
right,
that's not it.
I get what you're saying. It was misleading.
Serious.
It was misleading in the sense of looking at it that sense. It would be misleading. Yeah, because there's still people out there. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie or is it not?
Right. I happen to think it is.
I do too.
So I would say, I don't think it's a must-see movie either. Right. But if you're just looking for something that you haven't seen before, maybe don't spend $20 on a ticket to go see it at the theater. Yeah. Wait for it to come out on streaming or whatever. So anyway, so that takes care of the movie that we both saw together, which is our new movie, Normal. And now we're going to talk about a couple of old movies, and I'll throw it to you to start yours.
Okay, well, mine is another one-man army movie, and it's back from 1973. It's called Walking Tall.
Wow.
I didn't realize that this movie was as violent as it is. It was very violent, and I looked into it, and the director is Phil Coulson, who directed many B-rated movies, and he really only found success with Walking Tall. He was a very big fan and much into violence and gritty scenes, and wow, when you watch it now, you can see he was.
Right.
Because in the first 18 minutes, there's already a fist fight at a casino. And then at the end of that fight, the main character gets cut up about 19 and a half minutes in, gets all cut up on his torso and pretty much left for dead at that point. Yeah. So basically what this movie is about, it is about, by the way, starring Joe Don Baker, who you know him if you see him, but then again, you probably haven't seen him in much more than this.
Oh my gosh.
He played well, I didn't realize this till now, but he was an ex-wrestler and Marine who decided to move his wife and two children to an to his old town to have a simpler life. His name is Buford Pusser.
I love that name.
That's a great name. And he ends up meeting up with a friend of his after getting to town, and they go to a makeshift casino, and he sees his friends being cheated. There goes the fight. There goes the cutting. There goes the stabbing.
Right.
He's attacked, and he ends up doing old town justice by carving up a 4-foot tree branch to use as a stick. And he didn't take much off that tree branch either. That was a big stick.
Right.
So he goes after the local law for, getting rid of the drugs, the sex, and the alcohol. So he uses a small town justice, which also causes him to be elected sheriff.
Right.
And he makes his deputy an African-American friend. By the way, folks, 1975, they were using the N-word in this movie.
Yeah.
He becomes his deputy, and they just start going to town. He actually gets some of the other deputies with him in his group. So they look like they're going to start cleaning the town up. However, the negative of the town does not want anything to really do with that. And it kind of comes to a head. Well, first comes to a head when he pulls someone over and he gets shot. It ends up being an inside job by one of his deputies, causes him to snap, and he goes crazy to go after putting out everything that's illegal.
Right.
What I mean by that is he ends up going to the casino bar, and the lady that owns the place shoots at him. However, he shoots her, and you see it in the head and the eye.
Yep.
And I was like, wow. Wow.
He
This
goes
would
full
be
Dark Knight on her.
Yeah, I don't know what this would be considered nowadays. I mean, 75, that was, I bet, I don't know. It could have, it was an R, obviously, maybe a hard R. I don't know what it would have been back then. So doing this, he feels remorse. And he decides that he's wanting to kind of stop doing this. So he calms down a little bit. His wife decides to go to work with him one day. Bad idea. They get attacked by the locals. His wife is killed. He is shot and put into the hospital. After her funeral, he decides to go after these guys. And the weirdest thing is, I don't know, I never heard of a face cast. But if you think of Silence of the Lambs, and he's on the dolly, that's what this guy had here. And they're having him talk through it. You can't understand him. It was terrible. So anyway, he goes there, kills some of the people, almost on his deathbed. His deputies come to get him. Then you see the townsfolk come over there to support him and end up burning stuff out of the bar. Happy music plays, which is kind of weird, 70s happy music.
Sure.
However, it was probably one of the very first, one-man army. So I got a couple things about it. And what I mean by one-man army, think of movies like Rambo, Karate Kid, Billy Jack. That's another old one.
Yep.
Or Roadhouse, one-man army type of thing.
Yeah.
So real quick, this one cost $500,000 to make, and it made $40 million overall.
That's a big return on investment there.
I think it was one of those, well, let's go see it, and people fell in love with it because it was probably pretty darn violent and gritty for its time, and it got popular. So real quick here, Buford Pusser was a Tennessee sheriff famous for his this is the real Buford Pusser. This was based on the
real story,
a real person. Yeah, I don't know how much of it's all real, but it sounds pretty legit. Buford Pusser was a Tennessee sheriff famous for his aggressive crackdown on the Dixie Mafia and moonshine in McNairy County using a large club. His life inspired the Walking Tall films. Recently in 2025, an investigation evidence suggests that he actually murdered his wife in 1975.
Holy Christ.
And staged the ambush rather than being the victim of one. Wow. So there you are. Go to it, looking for the one-man army, but don't look at him as a hero. And I think it's a good one to do, especially if you like those other ones I mentioned. It's probably one of the very first one-man army ones. You can see where the other ones came from. It's a classic, must see. Kind of, I don't know for sure. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's something to see. Must see. I don't know if I can put must in there.
I'd say that you'd have to be in a certain headspace for wanting to watch this thing, because it is. I haven't seen it in decades.
Yeah.
But it is gritty.
Yeah.
It is extremely violent. Yeah. And it is serious as a heart attack.
Right. Yeah. When we say this, I mean, I'm a fan of horror movies. I've seen B-rated horror movies, which are terrible and everything like that.
Right.
When it's reality based instead of the gore that they have in horror movies, when it's the violence or whatever like that, it can get you. And this one can do that to you, even Jesus, that this many years later, decades later.
Right. Now, just one thing real quick, too. You said a couple of times 75. It's 73, right?
Oh, is it 73?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 73. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, certainly in that era of a lot of hard-hitting, gritty films.
Right.
Violent films.
Agreed.
At that time as well. And we didn't throw in a movie clip here, but we'll put one here at the end of your comments just so we can get a taste of what that was about.
When was the last time you stood up and applauded a movie? Audiences across America are standing up, applauding, and cheering a film called Walking Tall.
I thought you walked tall, because you gotta learn how to crawl. You let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Walking Tall. It's a deeply moving contemporary film based on the true story of a young man who wouldn't surrender to the system and the girl who always stood beside him.
You gambled your life. And no one has come to say thank you.
Maybe nobody really does give a damn. It's the picture your neighbors are talking about. It has been called the best American movie of the year. Join the audience's applauding. Walking Tall, rated R.
Okay, so does that pretty much wrap it up then for the Walking Tall?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. Well, my old movie, I was trying to do, and I could see where your movie related to Normal because of the kind of the one-man army thing. I went a different direction. I went with Hot Fuzz, which is a comedy and has a lot of similarities in that there is a small town. There is the over-the-topness in terms of the violence that happens in the town and some of the shootouts and things that happen in it, very reminiscent of what happened in Normal. But Hot Fuzz was directed by Edgar Wright, and he's known for movies like The Running Man, 2025, the remake, Baby Driver, if you remember that one from 2017, and then Shaun of the Dead, which is another Simon Pegg film.
Great movie.
That was, 2004. And so Hot Fuzz stars Simon Pegg, who you know from not just his movies, but Mission Impossible movies and a lot of comedies. And then Nick Frost, who you normally only see with Simon Pegg. He's in a lot of Simon Pegg movies, like Paul from 2011 about the alien. And then Shaun of the Dead, like we just mentioned. And then a couple other folks to mention, Martin Freeman, who's been in a lot of stuff, but he's probably best known for being Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit movies. And then the one that I'm really fond of is Timothy Dalton is in Hot Fuzz, is kind of the big bad. He turns out to be the big bad, spoiler alert. And you know him from James Bond films for sure, but he's been in a lot of stuff too. And so what's kind of happening in Hot Fuzz is that a top London cop, Nicholas Angel, who is the Simon Pegg character, is an amazing officer. He's very efficient, very good, very fast. And he's making the rest of his people, the team that he works with in the city, look bad. So they decide to reassign him. Sends them off to a small town to get him out of there so the rest of them can start doing what they need to do and not feel like they're always keeping up with him, that kind of thing. So he's partnered with a guy in the small town of Sanford, a guy by the name of Danny Butterman, who's the Frost character. And he's kind of a bumbling person who's fascinated with action films and being like his movie heroes. And then everything seems to be just kind of dull and quiet for Angel in this small town until two actors from a local theater are found decapitated. And they're calling it an accident. But Angel doesn't accept that, or he starts to question it when more and more people start turning up dead due to strange accidents. And then Angel and Danny eventually end up clashing with everyone in the town while they try to uncover the mystery behind the deaths and what's wrong with the people in this town. Again, all the people seem to be united behind something, and that's what they're struggling against. Or let's listen to a clip here.
Sergeant Nicholas Angel, expert in hand-to-hand combat, armed response, and high-speed pursuit. He was so good, they reassigned him.
Right. You've been making us all look bad. There's one thing you haven't taken into account, and that's what the team is going to make of this.
Statistically, Sanford is the safest village in the country.
Now, this big city cop.
You ever fired two guns whilst jumping through the air?
No.
You ever fired one gun whilst jumping through the air?
No.
Must learn
Is it true that there is a place in a man's head that if you shoot it, it will blow up?
how to think small.
Morning, the swans escaped.
The swans escaped. Can you describe it to me?
About 2 foot tall.
Yep.
Long, slender neck.
That's just going to scare it.
But in a place where not much goes on.
Watch this.
A whole lot is about to go down.
3 people have died in a week.
Accidents happen all the time. What makes you think it was murder?
There hasn't been a murder in 20 years. You're saying this wasn't an accident?
Not everyone's a murdering psychopath. It's high time you realize that. You and your monkey. Did he mean me or that? Have you ever wondered why the crime rate is so low, and yet the accident rate is so high?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bust this thing wide open.
From the guys who watched every action movie ever made and created Shaun of the Dead.
You never taken a shortcut before?
When the heat is on,
Here come the fuzz.
you gotta call the Fuzz.
Gunfights, car chases.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Hot Fuzz.
Got a mustache.
I know.
Okay, so my take on Hot Fuzz is I loved it. It's an excellent British comedy. Lots of great story, great cast, lots of laugh out loud moments. I remember watching this the first time with Rachel, my daughter, and we still, all I have to say to her, is Swan, and she knows exactly what I mean. It's hilarious.
Yes.
The reveal of the mystery of this town is also hilarious and a surprise because is it Nick Angel or what is his name? Nicholas Angel, yeah, thinks that he has it figured out what's going on in his town, and he's completely wrong. and the real reason is completely ridiculous, which is hilarious. So it's a must-see movie, in my opinion, for sure.
Okay. All right. I agree with that. It's a good, funny one. I like that kind of comedy myself also.
For sure. So
hey, let me give you an honorable mention.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Looking forward. So my honorable mention would be Roadhouse, as I mentioned before. One-man army, one of the best ones. Love that movie.
Now, sorry, help me out here. Are we talking the original with Patrick Swayze?
Oh my God, the original.
Okay, the original. And what year was that?
Only the original. I don't know that.
I
have to look that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
And what I'm looking forward to, just to get that in, is Animal Farm. They're redoing the George Orwell story, animated, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, so that's your coming soon.
Yeah, it's my coming soon.
Okay,
what about your honorable and your coming soon?
Yes. My honorable is Fargo, which is
great.
Another small town police chief investigating a homicide that uncovers a bigger plot, that kind of thing. Stars Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, and Steve Buscemi, which are all amazing in this movie. And it's a Coen Brothers movie, directed by the Coen Brothers. So it's already offbeat and a little weird, but definitely has a similar vibe to the normal movie. It's like it. And Jeremy Johns, a movie reviewer on YouTube, said this. It's like normal is like if Fargo and Hot Fuzz had a baby.
Oh, okay. That's why.
They all kind of come together there.
Yeah.
So my coming soon, and this is one that I think we're going to be reviewing on the podcast here pretty soon, is The Mandalorian and Grogu. Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. So if you have paid attention to anything, like if you've just been awake, you know that this movie's coming and what it's essentially about, Star Wars universe and characters from that in a very successful series that was on Disney Plus, Mandalorian, and now it's going to be a movie. So we'll check that out and we'll do another review of that and see
That'd be fun.
See what we think. So anyway, that will go ahead and wrap up episode 6. Got any parting remarks?
No, just ready to see some more movies. I need to see a couple new ones for the next few episodes. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to have to put something together and find some. I got some old ones, but I don't know if I'm necessarily going to relate them.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of new movies coming up. We only have a few more episodes left in our series for this season anyway. So we'll hopefully get a few more of those in and bring them to everyone and let them know what we thought. And if it's worth checking out or worth maybe just taking a pass on.
Correct.
So, anyway, for Must See Movies, I am Lawrence Trokey.
I'm Derek Leftridge.
And we will see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Here are some footnotes for this episode. It's funny how Derek and Lawrence were thinking the movie Normal was a must-see movie immediately after seeing it in the theater, but then backed off of that once they had some time to reflect. Guess you can credit the consumption of alcohol as the reason for their initial euphoria regarding the film. The original release of Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze was in 1989. That's all for this time. Thanks for listening. See you later.
And we can just, work on bloopers here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, if there are any. Of course, how many beers do you have now?
This would be number 5.
Okay, well, yeah, it'll be coming pretty soon.
And Dos Equis ain't bad.
It's like the water.
It is.
Almost like water.
It is. It's like, yes.
We'll just leave it at that. No judgment.
No, I like it.
No judgment here.
I like it.
This has been a Shady Basement production.